and welcome to another episode of Radiant Life TV. I'm your host, Cherese Dickerson, and I am so glad that you are here. Now, if you are new here, this space is created for millennials to help them live a life of light, purpose, and impact. Now, I'm so excited about today's episode because today we are going to be talking about the new OCD. Now, we're probably not talking about the OCD that you're thinking of, but we are talking about obsessive comparison disorder. So what is obsessive comparison disorder? Well, according to Paul and Gone, obsessive comparison disorder is the compulsion to constantly compare ourselves to others, which produces unwanted discontent, depression, and even anxiety. Now, this new OCD, obsessive comparison disorder, is considered to be the smallpox of the millennial generation. So thanks to social media, we no longer have to wait till our 10-year high school reunion to compare ourselves to others, but we now can do it every single day in real time. So we can compare ourselves to the 5 people that just got engaged this past week, or the person that just bought a new house, or the person who graduated with you from college and they landed the dream job. But then also we can Facebook stalk our ex. Don't act like you haven't done it. I'm sure you probably have. Facebook stalking them just to make sure that their life without you isn't better than when it was with you. So we can constantly compare ourselves to others. But you are probably thinking, Cherese, how is this new OCD ruining my life? Well, it's ruining your life because comparison is the thief of everything. It's the thief of everything. It is the thief of everything because we spend so much time trying to be someone else that we miss who we're called to be. I am afraid that we live in a generation where we are so busy scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Facebook, that we miss who God has called us to be and the purpose that God has for us. We miss it. God did not create you by accident, but He created you for a unique purpose. So that means that there is something that you can do that no one else can do like you. No one else can do it. Can I share a little secret with you? We spend so much of our time trying to be someone else, right? And we try and, do our Instagram like them, or wear what they wear, talk like they talk, whatever the case may be. But let me tell you something. You can rip off somebody's Instagram, you can copy what they wear, you can copy what they say, or they can copy you, however it goes. But one thing that people cannot rip off and that you cannot rip off from somebody else, you want to know what that is? What that one thing is purpose. You can't copy somebody's purpose. You can't copy what God has for them, because what God has for you is for you. No one can take it away from you. No one. Now, I found that comparison takes on many shapes, okay? So we compare ourselves to others, but I also find that we compare ourselves to the expectations or standards of others. Now, this is especially true as we enter into the holiday season and we get around so many family, right? And we are bombarded with questions. Why aren't you married? Why haven't you had kids? Why haven't you landed that job? You graduated from school and you still haven't had a job? Or you're about to graduate and you haven't had a job? Why haven't you got a house? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Why haven't you done blah, 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 blah? And the list just goes on and on and on. They are asking all of these questions, right? But let's just be honest. It's really not the questions that are bothering us. I find what's really bothering us is the fact that it confirms a lie that many of us have told ourselves and are believing. Do you want to know the lie? The lie is that, I'm behind. I'm behind and I am missing out. Now, it confirms that we're behind, but some of us even take it a step further and not only say, I'm behind, but I'm just not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. I mean, I must not be because I'm not doing what they're doing. So instead of defining ourselves by who God says we are, we compare ourselves against someone else. But let me just tell you something from personal experience. If someone else is our barometer and how we are measuring ourselves, we will never, ever, 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 ever be enough. We'll never be enough. So don't let people, don't let your family, don't let Instagram, don't let Facebook, don't let the people at school, your coworkers, whoever it is, don't let the internet, people, whatever, don't let them rush you. Because the truth is, you could be right where God wants you to be. But instead, you think that you're behind and hop into somewhere where you're not supposed to be. So don't let them rush you. Don't let them do it. Comparison steals a lot of things. We already talked about how it steals purpose, but it also steals joy. We miss the joy of today. So while some of us are comparing ourselves and so busy during the holidays, scrolling through other people's Instagram and Facebook feeds, we miss spending time with our family and being thankful for what we have today. But then also, it allows us not to be happy for the person that just got engaged, not to be happy for the friend that just got a new job. We aren't able to do it because all we're thinking of is what we're not doing, instead of being happy for what God has blessed them with. Ultimately, this new OCD is ruining many millennials' lives because it is keeping us stuck and it is keeping us paralyzed from fulfilling the purpose and the plan that God has for us. Because it assumes that since I have to be like someone else, that we have nothing to contribute. And that's just not true. But we do have something to contribute. We have a lot to contribute. But when we look at social media and think we don't, and let's just pause right there and talk about social media. The truth is, we could be comparing ourselves to someone else's reality that isn't even real. It's not real. So I have a question for you. With all of the effort that we spend comparing ourselves, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Facebook, etc., 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 what would happen if we used all of that time and all of that energy to put blinders on and focus on the plan and the purpose that God has for us instead of what He has for someone else? What would happen? You know what I think would happen? I think we would get so much clarity and that we would be walking in where He wants us to and going where God wants us to go. You see, someone needs you to walk in your purpose, but you will never get there if you're constantly comparing yourself to someone else. So put those blinders on and focus on what God has for you. And you know what that might even look like? That might even look like taking a break from social media or taking a break from other toxic things, whatever that might be, so you can get focused on what the plan and the purpose that the Lord has for you. Because it's a great plan, but we'll never find it if we're constantly trying to be someone else. So the new OCD is ruining many millennials' lives. But it doesn't have to ruin yours, and it doesn't have to ruin your holiday. So resist the urge to compare yourself to other people. And instead of comparing yourself, focus on the purpose and the plan that God has for you. Don't let people or the internet rush you. Rest in knowing that you could be right where the Lord wants you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. You can definitely leave a comment below or join the conversation at www.cheresedickerson.com. Please leave a comment because insight without action is pretty useless. So definitely take the first steps toward action by leaving a comment. Also, one of the most meaningful things you can do if you enjoyed this episode is sharing it with others. I would greatly appreciate that. So thank you so much for joining, and tune in next week for another episode of Radiant Life TV.